This is Lawrence Romanowski, and I'm doing this video to show you this really cool BMW ALPINA. Now, many of the videos that are on my channel are for the Distinctive Collection, which is the car dealership that I work at. This is my own car and the roof Porsche and some others as well. So it doesn't have as glamorous a setting as the other cars do. So this is an Alpina B7S Turbo. It dates from 1982. So a brief history of Alpina. They would be what AMG is to Mercedes or Roof is to Porsche. They have an arrangement now where you can go to the dealership and buy a new Alpina. This started in the 1970s, 1960s I think, with Alpina had a race team and they won the European Touring Car Championship in 1970 with their 3.0 CSLs, and they also won, I think, the Spa 24-hour race and some other significant races. And then they started, making customer cars and modifying existing BMWs with the 2002s and the 3.0 CSIs, so on. So fast forward to the 80s and the late 70s and early 80s, and BMW had their 5 Series and 6 Series, and Alpina called these B7s. They called both cars B7s. There was a B7 5 Series and a B7 6 Series, and there was cars based on the 3.0 liter engine and cars based on the 3.5 liter engine. There were turbocharged cars, there were normally aspirated cars, there were cars with catalytic converters and Motronic Bosch injection. The earlier cars were a Pierburg mechanical injection. And so they made, for the 6 Series anyway, they made about 430 cars altogether. Maybe 2/3 of those were turbocharged and 1/3 of them normally aspirated. They made, the version of the 3-liter car was the B7 Turbo. Then they came out with the B7S, which this is, which is the 3.5-liter turbo. And then they came out with something called a Turbo Coupe 1, and that was the 3.5-liter with the Bosch Motronic injection and based on the later E28 chassis, where this 6 Series is based on the E12 chassis. All a little bit confusing, but through the run there were 436 Series. There were about 150 B7 turbos. There was about 150 turbo coupes with Motronic. There's 30 of these. So they made 30. The run was only 30, and they started with. But it's a comprehensive redesign. It's got a different 5-speed close ratio gearbox. It's got a really kind of a neat differential setup. I don't know if you can see this here. I'll try to get it, but there is a maybe not. There is a pulley that is driven off one of the half shafts, which turns an oil pump, which cools the oil through a radiator. So I mean that's a pure racing application. And then let's go on the inside of the car here. Just open the engine bay and we'll have a look here. So these cars would have started with Bosch CIS injection, which they tossed out, and a relatively high compression engine, so they would have redone the engine, tossed out the CIS, which I don't really understand because my Porsche Turbo has CIS and it has a lot more power than this, the roof. So this was 330 horsepower, but this stuff here is all Pierburg, which not too many people know how to work on. It's a CIS injection, similar to the Bosch K-Jetronic in concept, but of course it's different. And then the ignition system is something called AFT. So anyway, it's everything. Every part of this is Alpina, the intake manifold, etc. On the door jamb, we've got the Alpina paint code. For this is dark green. So the whole Alpina package would have included the driveline, the engine, the transmission, the differential. These wheels are interesting. They're the sort of iconic Alpina wheels. The centers of these are magnesium. Brake system, 4-piston caliper brakes, and then the slotted and vented rotors, which I guess are really hard to find, etc. These in the day were the fastest. At least the sedan version of this car was the world's fastest sedan, and they did over 160 miles an hour. So the interior in this car is actually different than the other B7Ss. It's got these full Recaro Ortho C seats, and you have these knobs on each part of it, and they relax or tighten the side bolsters. These bolsters go in and out. This part of the seat tilts forward. We've got controls. There's a little air compressor in there. We've got controls for there's 3 different air bladders which will live right in there, and they can inflate. The seats are heated with electric backrest. In some of my magazine articles, the lightweight Recaro seats would have been about $400. And the cloth ortho seats would have been about $1,000, and then these must have been like $2,000 a seat. So huge price. They would have added $4,000 or $5,000 extra just for the seats. And in this car, the rear seat upholstery matches as well. All the other Alpina B7Ss, and they made them all in the same color with the same upholstery. They had a plaid interior. A green tartan interior. This one's all leather. There were other B7Ss. I think one other one is in charcoal. So they planned a run of identical cars, but it looks like what they did is for special customers maybe, or a special order, they changed it out. So this car has the Alpina steering wheel and the Alpina gear shift knob. This whole light's not very good, but this whole instrument binnacle right here with the boost gauge and the temperature gearbox and the oil pressure, and I think this is the differential pressure or temperature, but I'm not sure, is added. So this whole part's added to it. So it's a special car, and similar to the Rouge Porsche or the AMG Mercedes. Really quality machines. Anyway, it's a real pleasure. I found this car locally, and it needs a few things. The front spoiler has been removed, so I have to source another one of those. There was quite an elaborate decal kit that went down the side. I've ordered that. This spoiler in the rear is a BMW item. The Alpina spoiler would have come out a little bit more, so I got to do that. I've got a tiny little rust. There's a seam right there on the body, and there's some rust starting, so I booked a car in to get that sorted out. These decals here, these badges, they could be touched up a little bit, so I'll bring that out. I stripped the interior out of the trunk. This car has a kind of a special modified filler neck. I'm not sure exactly why, but it has to do with a long-range gas tank that would have lived in the trunk here. It's not here anymore, but the car would have come with it, and that would have just extended the range. And this tank would have lived between the wheel arches, and would have had an extra 10 or 20 liters in it. So we did that. So we'll get a new, we'll try to find a new tank for it and bring it back to as close to new condition, original condition as possible. But it's a special car. It's, if you're into 80s German cars, this is pretty close to the cat's meow. And like I said, I got that rough BTR, the roof BTR, which is spectacular, and I think I want an AMG Mercedes, so I could have a kick-ass trio of 80s German tuner cars. So anyway, thanks for viewing, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.